Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my obeisances to you, Sekirti Madhuri. I must say, very, very happy today to in some way reconnect with you. We could never forget you. I don't think we will ever forget you. This is the topic today, Smarana. We remember Krishna and we remember the devotees. And remembrance comes in the heart when there is affection. Without affection, it is difficult to remember. Something more powerful than affection is hatred. Kamsa remembered Krishna 24 hours a day, but his mood was not favorable. So our mood towards you is extremely favorable, and I'm very, very happy to be here today. Thank you so much for inviting me. So I will just sing very briefly, very, very briefly, but still a little bit.
I just forgot to mention that Prasanta Mataji is such a wonderful singer. When she sings, we can feel Krishna in our life and in our heart. So yes, we are very happy to hear you, Mataji.
Well, on Zoom, it doesn't work that well. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Jaya Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Shri Shri Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Shri Shri Gaura Nitai Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nithai Gala Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nithai Gala Hari Bol Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai Sri Vrndavana Dhama ki jai Shri Mayapur Dhama Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnanandana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Mukham karoti vachanam pangam langayate girim yat krupatamaham vande Shri Gurum Diktaram Hari Hari as a basis on our discussion on Smaranam, which is translated by Srila Prabhupada as remembrance. As a background for this, we are going to read two different verses from two different scriptures. The first one from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22:1-4, a very important verse which appears in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or the Nectar of Devotion. And this is a verse for all the devotees to know, to learn, a very important verse, which stresses the importance of Smaranam. How important is Smaranam? We are going to get to know from this verse and from the next verse, which is straight from Bhagavad Gita, the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So here we read, very beautiful verse. Smartavya satatam Vishnur. Vismartavyo na jatu chit. Sarve vidhi nishedhasyur etayor eva kinkaraha. So this is the Sanskrit. I'm sure you'll be more happy with the English. The idea is that we should always, Krishna should always be remembered. Here it says Vishnu. Vishnu should always be remembered. Well, Krishna is the origin of Vishnu, so he should be remembered too. Vishnu, incidentally, is also one of the names of Krishna. So Krishna should always be remembered and never forgotten. So one thing is we try to remember and then things come in our mind. Remembrance has to do with the mind. So we remember something, but it goes away. So in Smaranam, there are two aspects. One is to bring in the object of our remembrance, what we want to think of. And the other is that when we bring that meditation in, when we bring that object in, we have to try to keep it and we should not let it go. And constant remembrance is called meditation. So here we hear Krishna should be remembered and he should always be remembered and he should never be forgotten. And the next point which comes in this verse is very important. It says that all the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastra should be the servants of these two principles. Very important, because when we come to Krishna consciousness, we learn so many things. And sometimes there are so many details, how we should dress, how we should speak, how we should walk, how we should talk. So many kinds of services. And then there is the Shastra, and so many things to learn, so many philosophical points, so many leelas, so many stories, and there are so many programs, and we get so busy. And especially there are so many do's, so many don'ts, things we should do, things we should not do. Basically, whatever is favorable, we should do. And what is not favorable to our Krishna consciousness, we should avoid. But here it gives the essence of what to do and what not to do. It's not just what looks good, what sounds good, what's pious, what's not pious. No. Whatever helps us to remember Krishna, that is the priority. And whatever makes us forget Krishna or takes us away from Krishna consciousness, that we should avoid. So this verse here, Srila Prabhupada writes, is a quotation from a Purana, which is called the Padma Purana. There are many regulative principles in the Shastra. Some are related to karma, some are related to jnana, some are related to yoga, and some are related to bhakti. So many rules, so many regulations. And there are so many directions given by the spiritual master. These regulative principles should act as kinkaraha. What is kinkaraha? Servant. They are all servants of the basic principle. That is, one should always remember Krishna and one should never forget him. Now the secret comes. How do we remember Krishna? We come, or initially when we become devotees, we come from a realm, from a space where we had never thought of Krishna before. We were just absorbed into so many discussion topics, into so many activities, which were all mundane, which had nothing to do to achieving the goal of life, to reuniting ourselves with the source of our existence, Sri Krishna. And then one day we came to Krishna consciousness, we met the devotees. And what did they tell us to do? There is this beautiful story, Prabhupada said, the old lady is telling her husband, chant, chant, chant. And the husband responds, can't, can't, can't. So this is what the devotees tell us when we join, chant. Somebody wrote a beautiful song, modern song about this chanting. It says, chant the holy name, chant the holy name, your life will never be the same. So this is what we were told. And here Srila Prabhupada said, this remembrance of Krishna is possible when one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Therefore, one must strictly chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. When? 24 hours a day. Well, this is our goal. This is the instruction of Lord Chaitanya. Kirtaniya Sada Hari. Sada means always. Because when we chant, Krishna is present. We are remembering him. The remembrance may not be complete from our side, because we think the Mahamantra is just a mantra. It is just a sound. It's just a sound that we are repeating. This is called Kirtanam. Kirtanam. The items are the angas, the different limbs of the practice of bhakti begins with Shravanam, which means to hear. The devotees told us, chant, 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 chant the holy name. And that was Shravanam. From Shravanam comes Kirtanam. So we started chanting. And Smaranam is the fruit of these two. When we hear and when we chant, then gradually we remember Krishna. So in the beginning, we remember Krishna just in the form of sound. And this is initial remembrance. When we chant Hare Krishna, immediately, it means we are thinking of Krishna. It is simultaneous. When we chant Hare Krishna, we are remembering Krishna. We know when devotees were reporting newspaper articles that were not very favorable to the Hare Krishna movement, Srila Prabhupada, following in the footsteps of his guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would ask, okay, the article was negative, but how many times did they write Krishna or Hare Krishna? Because that's the most important. Because that's the people will read, but they will read the holy name. And as we read the holy name, means we are hearing it, we are kind of speaking it, either with our tongue or with our mind. And that is the beginning of remembering Krishna. And remembering Krishna, that's what will bring the perfection of our human life. We will read a little bit about this later. So we must chant Hare Krishna 24 hours a day. One may have other duties to perform. You will say, right, I have other things to do. But one must abide by the spiritual master's order to chant at least a certain number of rounds. So this is how we start with our remembrance of Krishna and with our chanting. We start with 1 round, then 2 rounds, then 10 rounds, then 16 rounds. And we stick to that. And it can increase. We can increase the number of rounds that we chant. But the important is that this chanting should not remain just a lip service. The chanting has to sit in the mind. It has to bring concentration. We have to concentrate on the chanting, which goes together with the hearing, so that remembrance will come. The mind will concentrate. And as I said initially, we only hear a sound. But the magic of the chanting of Hare Krishna is that the person, Krishna, is within that sound. Is not different from that sound. And the goal of our chanting is to realize that as soon as we say Hare Krishna, Radha and Krishna are present. They manifest from the sound like smoke manifests from a fire. There's a fire burning and some smoke is coming out. So when we chant, Radha and Krishna are immediately present. One may sell books or enlist life members or render some other service, but these duties are not ordinary duties. Prabhupada is talking of being engaged in Krishna's service. What are our duties in Krishna consciousness? We are cooking for Krishna. We are painting for Krishna. We are singing for Krishna. Prabhupada said we are raising funds for Krishna. We are writing for Krishna. We are offering arti to Krishna. We are cleaning the floor. We are cleaning the pots. We are cleaning the toilets. We are cleaning. We are doing so many things engaged for Krishna. But what are all these duties for? Why are we serving Krishna? Srila Prabhupada says, these duties serve as an impetus to remember Krishna. So if while doing all our duties, we are thinking about something else, our duties are very imperfect. Whatever we do in Krishna consciousness, beginning with the chanting, is meant to bring remembrance of Krishna. Krishna, Srila Prabhupada presented to us, is not actually unknown to us. Is not unknown. Every one of us knows the Supreme Lord. And remembering Krishna means it's something like you meet an old friend. Suppose you had a friendship like 20 years ago. And 20 years later, for 20 years, you didn't see that person. After 20 years, you meet that person. What happens is you remember. You remember the relationship. You remember everything you have done together in the past. You remember, you recognize the person. So when we see Krishna, we meaning one who comes to achieving perfection, of rejoining Krishna. It's not like, who is that? The devotees who actually remember Krishna means they see their picture, he manifests in front of them. We know the 6 Goswamis were seeing Krishna. They were seeing Radharani. The great exalted devotees, when they see Krishna, they don't ask him, who are you? They remember, meaning they recognize Krishna. Though we chant, maybe it is a very lofty goal, but this is actually the goal of Krishna consciousness. We have not come here just to follow rules and regulations. We have come here to find back our old friend whom we have forgotten. So to remember Krishna means gradually understand that he is present in the chanting, that he is present in the service, that he is present in our heart, in our mind, that he hears what we say, that he gives us inspiration. He gives us remembrance. You lost your keys. Where are my keys? Where are my keys? And suddenly, they are in the drawer. Second one, left side. Who gives remembrance? According to Shastra, that is the Lord. Our consciousness is very minute. If we cannot remember, we forget, because our consciousness has a very small range. From 10 meters to 10 meters, we forget. I remember one day I was walking in a beautiful garden in Vrindavan. And as I entered the garden, I saw a big sign. Do not pluck Krishna's flower. Do not pluck Krishna's flower. Okay, it's not allowed to pluck flowers. But we are devotees of Krishna. We worship Krishna. We always need flowers. So anyway, I read the thing and I thought, oh, we can't pick flowers here. And then I kept walking in the garden. And as I walked and walked and walked, at some point, I came upon a tree and some vines. Oh, such beautiful flowers. And my mind started saying, whoa, okay. I started going towards the flowers and thinking, let's take one, at least one, I take one. And then as I was going towards the flower to take the flower, I realized what happened to me between 20 meters or 100, I don't know, 30 meters before. I saw the sign, do not pluck flowers. And then maybe 10 minutes later, I had walked further, I saw the flowers and I wanted to pluck the flowers. So what happened between the two? What happened between the two is my defective consciousness, because I am limited. But Krishna is unlimited. And then he gave me remembrance. Hey, you said you were not going to pluck the flowers. You thought you were going to follow the instruction on the board. You said you were not going to follow. You were going to follow. So now what's happening? So there is a great difference between our remembrance and Krishna's remembrance. We depend on him for remembrance because we forget. And to remember him, Krishna has given us his holy name. By chanting that holy name, we can remember him always and increase that remembrance. So anything we do is meant to increase our remembrance of Krishna. When one goes with the Sankirtan party or sells books, Prabhupada says, he naturally remembers that he is going to sell Krishna's books. In this way, he is remembering Krishna. When one goes to enlist a life member, he talks about Krishna and thereby remembers him. The conclusion is that one must act in such a way that he will always remember Krishna. And one must refrain from doing things that make him forget Krishna. These two principles form the basic background of Krishna consciousness. Everything else is a detail. The principles are the foundation. And the details are constructed according to time, place, and circumstances, but the details should never go against the principles. And what is the principle of Krishna consciousness? Always remember Krishna, first principle. Second principle, never forget him, whatever it takes. So this is very beautiful to hear. And here Prabhupada said that we should behave in such a way, we should do what we should engage in activities that will be conducive to remembrance of Krishna. Naturally, activities conducive to remembrance of Krishna means that we serve him. So therefore, when we join Krishna consciousness, always we are invited to serve. Come, peel the potatoes on Sunday. Come, make flower garlands. Come, post, or what do you say, stick up some posters, or come, receive the guests. Come. The devotees are always inviting. Two things they say: chant and serve. Because when we serve Krishna, again, we are with him. We are remembering him, more or less consciously. That is the problem. As we said, our consciousness is kind of changing, always moving. It's not steady. So progress in Krishna consciousness means that we become steady in remembrance. What kind of remembrance? Well, remembrance of Krishna, Krishna's desires, and especially we must remember Krishna when we have choices to make. It's like when you're driving a car or a bicycle, and you know where you want to go. There's an address, there's a place where you want to go. So when you come to a crossroad, because your mind is fixed on the goal, where you want to go. So when you come to a crossroad, you know, here I have to turn right. And then you come to another crossroad. And you know, here I have to turn left. Then you come to another crossroad. Oh, here I have to go straight. So our life is made up of crossroads. And we must remember the goal. The goal is to remember Krishna. So every time we come to a situation in our life where we have to make a choice, then really we have to make an endeavor to see which choice is going to bring us closer to remembrance of Krishna. Which choice is going to bring us close to him? Because Krishna is very merciful. It's like the Google lady, you know, when you go, you have the, what do you call it? When you go in the GPS, you know, when you are in the car and the lady is saying, okay, after 100 meters, turn left. After 30 meters, turn right. And when you make a false turn, a wrong turn, the lady adjusts. I said the lady because usually the voice is feminine. And the lady adjusts and she says, after 50 meters, you turn. Because you didn't follow what the road that was mapped. But you still want to go to the same place. So if you didn't follow the road, then the computer is going to find the way to put you back on the road. So Krishna is like that. When we don't take the right choice, we don't make the right choice, it means we're going to make it maybe a little longer to reach the goal, but it's not that we are lost. So if we forgot Krishna at some point in our life, when we had a turn to take and we didn't go in the favorable direction, we should not worry too much. Of course, we should in one sense worry, but Krishna is very merciful. Srila Prabhupada many times says Krishna is more eager to bring us back to him than we are eager to go back to him. Because he has the complete vision, the complete view. He knows our benefit. He knows perfectly well that our topmost happiness, well-being, stays in his association, is born in his association. When we are with him, we are perfect and happy. He knows that. Whereas we've got a doubt. I think that pizza is the topmost. Many times I think like this. Pizza is the topmost. If I can get a pizza today, everything is okay. So we have our ideas. We don't have the full picture. We are tiny. And it's like somebody is trying to see the horizon and sitting at the bottom of a hill. You try to see in the distance. How much can you see? There are so many trees blocking the way. But if you climb on the hill, from the top of the hill, you can see so much. You can see so far away. Krishna is at the top of a hill, very big hill. And he sees everything. He knows what is good for us. And he doesn't give up. Sometimes we give up, but he does not give up. So this is our good fortune. Why he doesn't give up, Srila Prabhupada says, because he remembers us. We forgot him. He did not forget us. He did not forget us. Prabhupada compared him to parents, especially a mother. A mother, she has children, 1, 2, 3, 10. She can never forget them. They are part of her. They grew in her womb. They are an expansion of her own life. She cannot forget them at any time. Whether they become criminals or whether they become angels in the world, that doesn't matter much to her. What matters is that she has a relationship with them and she remembers them due to that relationship of affection, of love. The children, they are sometimes compared to arrow, which is placed on a bow. And it is said the arrow is not meant to stay on the bow. Its destination is to go. So the children, for them, their parents are behind and the world, their life is in the front. We have made that kind of arrangement for ourselves. But Krishna is our origin. So unfortunately for us, Krishna is somewhere in the back. And we have so many things to look after in the front of our eyes. But Krishna doesn't leave sight of us. And he's, Prabhupada says, canvassing. And only his devotees in the world, that's the main service they do. They are canvassing. Please come back. Please chant. Your life will never be the same. Chant, chant, chant. So this is the basis of remembrance. Now let us hear one verse from Bhagavad Gita. This is 8.5, also a very important verse. Krishna says, Antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samad bhavam yati nasyatra samshayaha. Very beautiful verse. He says, whoever, Antakale. Antakale means at the last time, which means at the end of life. Whoever at the end of this life, muktva kalevaram, quits his body. Oh, what is this, quitting the body? Oh, I didn't know about that. First lesson in Krishna consciousness, this body is temporary and it will not last forever. This is something that either people deny in the world or they dread, they are afraid of what is called death. Devotees are not afraid of death. Why? Because they know. What do they know? Prabhupada said, you point here when you say I am not this ugly body. or beautiful body, depending on the people. When you're young, it's, I'm not this beautiful body. When you're old, it's like, oh God, I'm not this ugly bag. It's easier when you're old. Old age is very favorable for wisdom. I am not this old bag. I am not this body. This is the basic knowledge of Krishna consciousness, the reason why we chant, because we are not this body. And we have a different destination. The body will stop at some point. We do not know. There's a clock which is turning. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick, no tack. Last breath, that is called antakal, the last time of our life. While the materialists are afraid of the last breath, the devotees are not afraid. They do not try to avoid death, which is not possible. They prepare for death. They prepare for death, knowing what is to be done at the time of death. What is to be done? Krishna says here, whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. We want to remember Krishna, and ultimately we want to rejoin with him. We want to rejoin him in his realm, in his world. Where is Krishna's world? It is known in the Vedic Shastras as Vaikuntha. It is known as Goloka. It is situated somewhere in a space which is called Paravyoma, or the supreme sky, the transcendental sky, which is beyond the material sky, which is beyond the material universe, a place very far away, yet very near. Srila Prabhupada says that Goloka is somewhere in the heart. Usually we hear, oh, well, God is in the heart, Paramatma is in the heart, Krishna is in the heart. Wherever there is Krishna, there is his Dham. So actually the world of the Lord is not so far away, but it is separated from us by a curtain. What is the curtain? The curtain of forgetfulness of Krishna. Therefore, we must cultivate Smaranam. Smaranam is said to be, by Srila Rupa Goswami, the mental cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not about, it's not a fad, Prabhupada said. It's not a fashion. It's not just a way to dress. It's not just a way to eat. It's not just a lifestyle. Krishna consciousness means to end material life. It means to return to the spiritual world. That is Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, anyone who quits his body in Krishna consciousness, remembering Krishna, is at once transferred to the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. What is this nature? It means the spiritual world. The spiritual world is manifested from a different category than the one that we know here. What we know here is if I press too hard here, it pains. This is material nature, as we know, very well studied by the scientists. So they are trying to break all the secrets of matter. They're trying to go within. They're trying to go to the space. But Prabhupada said this universe is like a coconut. It's kind of roundish, oval, roundish in nature, and it is closed. It's closed like an egg. In fact, it's called Brahmanda. It's like an egg. it is completely closed. And beyond that universe, there is something else which is of the same nature as me. And who is me? We said it's not that ugly thing. Me is the soul, the spiritual spark endowed with consciousness, with will, with desire, with power. So that nature, that is actually our nature, is that spiritual nature. And that is where we are meant to go to that nature, which is kind of something, although the world we live in is some kind of imitation of that realm, but it has a sort of almost opposite nature, in the sense that everything here is temporary and everything in the spiritual nature is eternal. But it is not just opposite, it is the source of what we know here. The Supreme Lord is the purest of the pure. Therefore, anyone who is constantly Krishna conscious is also the purest of the pure. The word smaranam, remembering, is important, Prabhupada says. Remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of life. Kaumara Achare Pragnya. This is what Srimad Bhagavatam says. From the age of 5, from the time we are children, if we are fortunate enough to take birth in the family where remembrance of Krishna is present, then from very young age we are trained to remember Krishna. Because remembrance of Krishna is not going to come just like that at the time of death to someone who has never thought of Krishna in his life. Sometimes when we tell people that, oh, I am practicing Krishna consciousness, they say, if we happen to be 20 years old, 16 years old, or even 30 years old, people may say, why are you thinking so much of God? Why are you thinking so much about spiritual life? This is not the time. When you become old and all wrinkled and death is approaching, that's the time to think of God. Thinking of God, serving God, that's for old people. Because they can't do anything else anyway, so they might as well think of God. But no, one who has not thought of God during his lifetime will not remember God at the end of life. Because everything here, Prabhupada says, takes practice. So we have to practice that remembrance of Krishna. We have to chant, we have to hear, and we have to bring Krishna within our mind. He has to be there as soon as we wake up in the morning. Krishna has to be in the mind. This takes practice. And the longer time we have, the better. And if we start young, it is very good. Srila Prabhupada compared people to all people, he compared to bamboo sticks, which are meant for constructing pandals in India and other countries. They're very hard, correct? They're very hard. And then there is the green bamboo that you'll find in the forest. What happens to the green bamboo? When the wind blows, the green bamboo completely bends. You can cut the green bamboo very easily. And with the green bamboo, you can manufacture all kinds of beautiful things because it bends very easily. But try to bend an old bamboo. Ooh, it doesn't bend. It breaks. Crack. It just breaks. So this means when we are young, we can quickly easily take up good habits in Krishna consciousness. When we are older, it is difficult to change. The mind becomes very stiff. And we cannot change our habits so quickly. If one wants to achieve success at the end of his life, the process of remembering Krishna is essential. Therefore, one should constantly, incessantly chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya has advised that one be as tolerant as a tree. So now this is the thing. We are chanting, we are serving, we are reading, and then suddenly some problem comes. We become sick. Our family members become sick. We lose our job. There is a bad weather. The house catches fire. Who knows what can happen? Somebody attacks us. Somebody is harassing us. What do we do at that time? What do we do at that time? The tendency will be to just fight back. And then we become so busy in either trying to protect ourselves, trying to defend ourselves, trying to establish ourselves, trying to do so many things in the world. There is no time to remember Krishna. All this because of something called the ego. I, me. What did you say? You said something about me? Oh, this person, he did this to me. I will never forget. Instead of remembering Krishna, you remember your enemies, you will not achieve the same goal. If you remember your enemies at the time of death, you would take birth amongst them. If you remember your beloved ones, you will also take birth amongst them. What is the use? Take birth again in this world? Again, have teeth growing when you are very small, so painful. Children, they cry so much when their teeth are growing. Do we want to again have these teeth pains? Again, do we want that again? For those who are Govidaha, intelligent, they know that it's not worth it. There was a lady, disciple of Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. She was leaving her body from cancer. Her name was Gauri Dasi. She was living many years ago. So she was kind of half conscious. Devotees were singing for her. She was lying on the bed. And then one day, she had not spoken for a while. And then one day she started saying, no, 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 no. So the devotees asked her, why are you saying no, no? And she said, oh, well, I was remembering some specific kind of prasadam. I was remembering some specific kind of prasadam that I used to eat. She was from Los Angeles, California, in the USA. And in the temple there on Watsika Avenue, which was founded by Srila Prabhupada, there is a restaurant. there is a restaurant, and in that Govinda's restaurant, there was some preparation that she loved. And she used to go and eat that. And on the deathbed, she was remembering that preparation. But as she remembered the preparation, she said, no, 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 no. It's not worth it. Because she understood, if I focus on this and I decide to eat that preparation again, how can I eat that preparation again? Well, I will take birth in Los Angeles or somewhere around there, and I will be dragged there, and I will go there, and I will sit again there in my next body. Oh yeah, and I will eat that prep, and then what? No, it is not worth it. So we must have this determination. What is the determination? It is not worth it. Turn to Krishna. Remember the Lord. Remember him. Put his pictures everywhere. Worship him. Offer obeisances unto him. Serve him as much as you can. Srila Prabhupada taught us to go back to Godhead in this lifetime, not next time. Who knows what will happen next time? We are not in control. So Prabhupada says, there may be so many impediments for a person who is chanting Hare Krishna, nonetheless tolerating all these impediments. How can we tolerate them? By being a little humble. By being a little humble, being very tolerant, being gentle. One should continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So that at the end of one's life, one can have the full benefit of Krishna consciousness. So the benefit of practicing Krishna consciousness is not to somehow live a happy life, or it is not to somehow grow in the society of devotees by becoming a more and more important person. No. The goal of Krishna consciousness and the perfection of Krishna consciousness is to remember Krishna at the time of death. And we should understand that this remembrance comes from hearing and chanting. The hearing and chanting bring a purification of our mind. It changes the way we see things. It changes the nature or the objects of our desires. No, not this preparation again. I tasted it enough. Now let me serve Krishna. Let me chant his name. Srila Prabhupada actually said that Smarana means to try to understand more and more about Krishna. Therefore, the study of Shastra is very important because there is so much knowledge about Krishna in the Shastra. And by this knowledge, we establish a relationship with Krishna. Remember, the remembrance will be there when there is relationship. So by hearing the holy name, we establish a direct relationship because chanting means to call out the Lord. And by hearing the Shastra, we establish a relationship with Krishna because we come to know him more and more, how he is dressed, how he speaks, how he behaves with his devotees, how he creates the world. Wow. amazing Krishna. So this is our duty in Krishna consciousness, not just engage arms and legs and tongue. We must engage our consciousness. We must engage our mind. We must think of Krishna. We must picture the beautiful form of Krishna in our mind. When we go to the temple, we see the deity. It's not just for, Prabhupada said, eye exercise. We should drink in through our eyes the beautiful form of Shyam Sundar, Govinda, Gopal, Damodar. We should drink through our eyes this beautiful form, so that when we close our eyes, or even without closing our eyes, that picture of the Lord will sit in our mind. And never think that a picture of the Lord who appears in your mind is a material vision. It is not. It is the Lord himself manifesting in our mind. He manifests in the mind. It's one of the forms of the Lord, a form made of mind. It is him. And when you see him, you should try to keep him. Never forget him. Keep him. Keep that vision as much as possible, as long as possible. Call him, chant his name. Desire to serve him. All right, so I will stop this presentation here. Hari Hari, are we still here?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, we are all very much here, and we are so enlightened and so very, very happy. You made such important points, Mataji, so much to think about, so much to internalize, especially few points which you mentioned. We remember Krishna and we depend on Krishna to remember him. So that was like striking such a chord that yes, even to remember Krishna, we have to depend on Krishna. And then anything and everything what we do, the goal is to remember Krishna. You also mentioned so beautifully as how all the devotees, they encourage us to do two things, serve and chant. And serving and chanting both are connected to remember Krishna again. And you also mentioned that Krishna does not give up on us because he remembers us. So we are in forgetful stage. We have that curtain of forgetfulness, as you mentioned, and Krishna remembers us and we forgot him. So the whole point is to get out of this material world, which you also mentioned that Prabhupada said is like a coconut, is like an egg which is completely closed, and we have something outside this coconut shell which is like us, which is the spark, the spiritual spark, and there is a similarity outside this coconut, but we get so engrossed here. And you so beautifully explained that how all this is not worth it, and how we must be determined that no, I don't want any more. This lifetime, go back to Krishna, who has seen what will happen, what would come up in the next lifetime. So we are so very grateful, Mataji, for taking out time and reminding us of all these wonderful learnings. I would like to know if you have some time, can we take up a couple of questions, Mataji, if that is okay with you?
It's fine.
It's fine. Okay. So those of you who have any questions can raise your hands there. And okay, so we have one hand up here. 1 second, I'll unmute you. Anuttama, can you unmute yourself? Anuttama Gandharvika Mataji, I have sent you a request to unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yes, you are audible.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Dandavat Pranam Mataji. Feeling so honored to be listening to you. I literally had goosebumps while you were speaking. I mean, never have I I've been I'm unable to speak right now also. I'm feeling so excited and I don't know. Anyways, I'll just halt my emotions and come to the question. Mataji, I wanted to know that people who cannot hear, who have hearing disability, how can they manifest all these qualities? How can they imagine? Because we are hearing and we are able to imagine, we are able to think of Krishna. All that purification comes only when we hear. A person who is not hearing, how can we inspire them to always remember Krishna? This is my question, Mataji. Thank you.
Mataji, actually, Anutama Mataji is preaching to a group of deaf ladies, and she has almost 90 ladies under her whom she is preaching. So I guess that is the background why she is asking that question.
Yes, Mataji.
Well, reading, I suppose they are reading, your ladies.
No,
reading, they are not reading either.
No, a lot of them are illiterate also. And so they solely depend on the, I prepare PowerPoint presentations, and that's how I try to have started preaching them from the very basics of Krishna consciousness. So
yeah, so what I mean to say is that they are taking in, there are different ways, Krishna will come to us through different, through our different senses. So the most prominent sense, of course, which is always stressed, is the ear. This is the prominent sense to remember Krishna, to hear, to receive the Vedic sound. But that is not the only one. That's not the only way. In the sense that understanding can also come, like you say, you are preparing PowerPoint. So it comes through their eyes. So Krishna is coming in, or the knowledge of Krishna is coming in through their eyes. But as they see it, this is actually, it is not different from the sound in one sense, because they will understand, and the understanding is based on sound. It's connected to the intelligence. So whatever you present to them, you have to see how they can receive. The one thing is, of course, the prasadam. They can eat prasadam. They are receiving Krishna through prasadam, and whatever they see, so they are receiving Krishna through their eyes. It's important, in fact, to show them images of Krishna. I don't know how much they can understand philosophy. There are different kinds of people with disabilities. Some of them are not mentally stable, but some are mentally stable, even though they may be not hearing. So, so whatever be the means, and it all depends on the, Krishna never says that only those who are great jnanis can know me. It doesn't say that it requires intelligence. It doesn't say that, no. What is the point? The point is bhaktyamam abhijanati, that somehow through whatever contact we make with Krishna in whatever form, that contact should awaken devotion in our heart. So you have to stress on that, on the devotion, that somehow they have to turn towards Krishna and be dedicated to Krishna. And because Krishna is conquered by that one-pointed devotion. So the amount of knowledge, for those who can, taking a lot of philosophy and all, they must. It's needed for them. But for those who cannot, it's not required. It's not required. What is required is the basic understanding. Me, Krishna, between the two, Prabhupada puts it, Bhakta, Bhokta, Bhakti. There are three. Bhakta, Bhokta, Bhakti. But that's it. You don't need any more understanding. You need this. It is called Sambandha Gyan, the relationship. Everything is about relationship. Bhakti is about relationship. So make them understand somehow or other, apply your mind to make them understand the relationship and create the dependence between them and the Lord. And that's all. Because this is what we all have to do, is to turn towards Krishna. We are Bahir Mukha. Now we want to go and be facing Krishna. So that is the attitude that has to change. We have to become favorable to Krishna. So whatever it takes to bring about that change, show them that Krishna is good, show them the benefits of Krishna being there. Whatever you can, but the goal is this, that they should remember Krishna favorably. They should become devotee. Knowledge actually, as far as reading from the books and all, the knowledge has two sides. One is that you read it, you understand it, but there's another way to acquire knowledge. It's simply that knowledge is revealed. It is revealed to those who have devotion without reading the books.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for your answer. Next, we have Ankita. Ankita, I'm requesting you to unmute. Yes.
Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Mataji, firstly, thank you so much. मुझे नहीं पता क्योंकि मैं अभी बहुत नई हूँ माताजी. सॉरी, मैं हिंदी में बोलूँगी क्योंकि इंग्लिश में मैं शायद वो भाव व्यक्त ना कर पाऊँ जो मैं हिंदी में कर सकती हूँ. और माताजी, मैं पूरा दिल से थैंक यू बोलना चाहती हूँ. करंटली आई एम शिवरिंग, यू नो, और मैं बिल्कुल अभी नई हूँ भक्ति में, मुझे इतना ज्ञान नहीं है, बट डिवोटी एसोसिएशन में हूँ अभी माताजी. Mataji, I have, it's been 1 year, you know, during the lockdown, when lockdown started, I got devotee association by the mercy, I don't know how. After that, my life has changed, you know. There are so many changes that are happening till now, and I can explain from that there are changes outside me, outside my body, inside my body, and yes, Mataji, I have a question कि तब हमारी फेवरेबल होता है सब कुछ, देन वी चैंट, वी हियर, वो बहुत ईजी होता है माता जी, दैट प्रोसेस इज़ वेरी सूदिंग. बट वेन एवर अ डिफ़िकल्टी कम्स माता जी, आई डोंट नो, मेरे साथ तो यही होता है कि कृष्णा याद रहते हैं, वी नो कि कृष्णा याद रखने हैं डिफ़िकल्ट टाइम्स में, बट माता जी कंडीशन ऐसी होती है कि हम चैंट भी नहीं कर सकते, हम डिवोटी एसोसिएशन में भी नहीं रह सकते. And then how to remember Krishna in those difficult times? How Krishna will help us? And Mataji, मेरा question यही है, basically.
So, actually, in the Sri Upanishad, which I recommend as a wonderful reading, Srila Prabhupada writes that the miseries of material existence are meant to make us understand the incompatibility between us and this world. So the qualification to turn to Krishna is, first of all, to have understood the nature of the world. This is explained by Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion. Guru Pada Ashray, taking shelter of the Guru, which means, in our case, first of all, as soon as we come to Krishna consciousness, we come under the shelter of the Guru Parampara. So taking shelter of the guidance of the sages, it takes something that we must have understood the nature of the world. But unfortunately, we haven't understood yet. As I said, we still like pizza, and we still want to go here and go there and see this and see that, and we still think that we're going to be happy here and we can make it and we're going to get big, we're going to do a job, or we're going to do whatever. People think of so many things. So these repeated troubles have to bring us to the point of understanding that the trouble will never stop. It will not stop. So when we have enough of all that trouble, then we will somehow turn to Krishna. So initially there may be ups and downs like this, as you say. I was talking about that it's difficult to remember Krishna when there are difficulties. When the sky is blue and everything is pink around, then oh, it's so nice. Krishna consciousness is part of the good things that have happened to us. But as soon as we enter a period of difficulty, then it becomes more difficult. Why? Because we become absorbed. We meditate on the difficulties. So this is a practice that we have to learn. Don't meditate on the difficulties. Take shelter in Krishna. However, how to bring this about? Well, as I said, up and down. There are two stages of bhakti. One is called nishtita. Nishtha means steadiness. So there is something called steady practice of bhakti. And there is another thing called anishtita bhakti, unsteady practice of bhakti. So we all begin with unsteady practice. We are not able to maintain the practice, but don't worry, just keep going. As soon as you can again practice, go for it. And as you will see that over the years, you spend more time in Krishna consciousness and less time in forgetfulness. And as to the point where you can care less about this world, whether it's raining or whether it's blue sky, you have found another sky. We said there is another sky. You have to find the other sky. So don't worry about this, but just persevere, continue. And the point is, as soon as you remember Krishna, focus, chant, read. Now you can, when you can, do it. When you can't, what to do? When you can, do it. So as a new devotee, it's like that, it's gonna go back and front, up and down. It's like you're drowning in the water, and then your head comes out of the water and you breathe in, and it feels so good. But somehow you don't know swimming. So after 3 seconds, you're back under the water. And somehow when you're back into the water, you lose consciousness. So keep going. Don't give up. Remember, Krishna is not giving you up. He is just putting your head under the water until you realize that, you don't want to be there. You don't want to be under the water.
Thank you for that enlightening reply, Mataji. You said it so nicely that when problem comes, don't meditate on difficulties. So these are my personal lessons, what I'm taking simultaneously. You also said, don't wait when you can't. When you can, do it. So it's so beautiful. You are phrasing it and it's so very nice. I'm sure it will help each one of us in remembering Krishna. Here in the chat box, there is a message by Shruti. Mataji, please bless me. And I would love to know from you few pastimes of yours with Srila Prabhupada.
Pastimes of me with Srila Prabhupada. Well, what to say? First of all, I am not a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So I came first time in contact with Krishna consciousness in 1979. Srila Prabhupada left in 1977. So I did not meet him personally, but I'll tell you something. When I came to the temple, it was in Paris. I was born in France. So I came to the temple in Paris and it was Sunday program, this and that, had a little prasadam, heard something about Krishna consciousness, didn't understand anything. And as I was coming out, there was a row of book distributors and there was no way anyone could get out of the temple without buying books. So we were three of us, we were fellow students in a university in Paris. So we were somehow coerced by the devotees to buy what they call the trilogy, a pack of books, 3 books, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna book, and Nectar of Devotion. Very beautifully produced books. So we left and we shared the books as had been advised by the devotees. And I picked the Nectar of Devotion, or I got it somehow. I picked the Nectar of Devotion and I started reading it. And I didn't make it through many pages, you know, because I was born in a very different situation and I had absolutely no background. And I read, I don't know how many pages, maybe 10 or something. And I was really plowing through this introduction to the nectar of devotion. And it's like, I can't understand anything. That was my situation. I was like 18 years old and I just couldn't understand anything. So finally I closed the book, and one thought I had is, who wrote this book? Who could write a book that I can't understand? My experience was I had read many books, and I had never come across a book so far that I could absolutely not relate to. Sometimes it would be difficult, some science book or something would be a bit difficult, but still. But this one was just not part of my world. I just couldn't understand. And then I read His Divine Grace. In French, it was Sa Grâce Divine. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And first of all, I couldn't even read it because in French, like for example, if you have a B and an H afterwards, it's not there in that language. So how do you read it? I didn't know. So it was difficult to read. The name itself was difficult to read. It was an elongated name. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I thought, yeah, with a name like that, no doubt nobody can understand the books. I thought nobody means me. But one thing for sure I can tell you is I never forgot that name. I never forgot that name. And subsequently in my life, I kept mating that name. People gave me more books and I just looked at it and I thought, A.C. Bhakti. No, I don't want. I can't understand. So I met that name again and again. And even a few years later, when I actually joined Krishna consciousness, I was looking for the Hare Krishna temple. People told me the Hare Krishna temple is over there. You have to take this metro and you get down at that station that was called Omonia. And I got down at the station and I was looking for that particular street that was called Solonos. And I was looking for that number 133. And I reached there and I was expecting a Hare Krishna temple, but it was just a big green colored or something, dark colored, huge door, entrance into a building. And there was a brass plaque on the wall and it said, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Cultural Center. And I thought, you again. But I got in, then I was introduced to the temple room. And I had some background. I had been in India. So when I saw the pictures of the spiritual masters, I understood this is the Guru Parampara. And then there was two huge Vyasasana. The first one was a younger personality. And I understood this must be the current Guru. And then I went to the second Vyasasana, huge, same size, huge Vyasasana. And there was his picture. And there was again a brass plaque which said the same, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And I sat in front of him and I said, who are you? You have been following me for so many years now. Who are you? That's my first pastime with Srila Prabhupada.
And post that pastime, you became, you made it your life mission to understand what is there in his books, and not only to understand, but to present it to the whole world in a very meaningful and easy way. So whatever difficulties you faced in understanding, Mataji, I'm sure you made it sure that no one else faces that difficulty, because you took up that as a mission, teaching teaching AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada books. So that's so wonderful.
Teaching by certainly doing everything wrong and making sure others don't do it. Yeah.
So do you still have some time, Aji? Because we have a couple of hands up here. It is 8:10. So
One more.
One more. Okay. So we have here Yadurani. I am requesting you to unmute. Okay. I think she's
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question which is related to my personal life, that I am not able to find a devotee match for marriage, and I'm also initiated by Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj. Now my life is as such that marriage has become one of the major thing. Should I go for a non-devotee and just stick on to whatever sadhana I have to do, or should I wait unless I find someone by Krishna's mercy?
Yeah, this is problem. I would say problem or a circumstance that many are facing. Srila Rupa Goswami told us that there are three main qualities for a devotee which make his life successful. And that is Utsaha, Nischaya, Dhairyat. One should be enthusiastic about what? About Krishna consciousness. One should be very determined, and one should be patient. So patience is a very important quality. See, in the world, things come in their own time. Things come in their own time, and sometimes we have to wait. You are already initiated, which means that you have vowed to your spiritual master, wonderful spiritual master, to follow the four regulative principles. You cannot break that vow. And the only way to maintain that vow is that your life partner must also follow those vows. So by marrying a non-devotee, you are putting those vows in danger, because by the natural laws of nature, the husband usually is the leader of the family, and the wife, chaste wife, is to follow her husband. So it will be very difficult if the person is not on the same page. So I understand sometimes it does happen that somebody marries a non-devotee, and then gradually, by, as Prabhupada said, by service, by whatever, establishing a good relationship, the person gradually takes up to Krishna consciousness. It's a bargain. It's a, what you say, you're playing dice, and you don't know what's going to come out. So in some cases, it comes out okay, and the person turns to Krishna and agrees to be a devotee, and then everything is fine. But it does not always happen like this. So it's your very personal choice. It's your very personal choice. Because, as I said, sometimes it will work and sometimes it will not work. And the person will not take up Krishna consciousness. And if the person does not take up Krishna consciousness, the Grihastha life, which may not even be Grihastha life, it may be a Grihayamedi life, and it will be very difficult, because your choices, as we said, you will want to make choices favorable to Krishna consciousness, and he will want to make choices favorable to sense gratification. So it's very difficult. When the children come, which school to send them to, that will be an issue. What to teach them, that will be an issue. whether to be vegetarian or not vegetarian, that will be an issue. What to do during holiday time, that will be an issue. So you have to see, I would say, personally, I always advise girls to be very careful and really pray to Krishna. Pray to the Lord. Pray to the Lord to send you a devotee. What you want is sadhu-sanga. You want association. It's not just the formality that somehow all the girls have to be married. That is, of course, Prabhupada said all the girls need to be married. Mostly, there may be a few exceptions, but mostly the girls will be better situated under the care of a good husband. But good means, first of all, one who understands Krishna. So pray to the Lord, pray to Krishna to send you someone. That would be my advice. But I said, this is a very personal choice. Sometimes we know the family is pushing, or the age is advancing. One becomes 30 and then 35, and the husband is still not manifested. So you must understand that these are manifestations of Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, everything is topsy-turvy, as we know. It's topsy-turvy. And the people of Kali Yuga, that is us, we are not by background very pious. We are some kind of sinful people, more or less, of course. But so all kinds of misfortunes happen to us. And, you know, in a regular course of time, usually the marriage happens when one is young. And that is like very favorable. But in this age of Kali, where we have different kinds of backgrounds from our previous life, things are distorted. And then not everyone gets to marry young. So, but we should not feel discouraged, because in Kali, in some other age, if somebody marries at the age of 35, it's like, boo, horrible. But in the age of Kali, it is, no one will really complain so much. It's okay, you know. Only thing you know is that if you marry late and you want to have children, so you should be very healthy. You have to maintain your body healthy so that you can have children at the age of 35, 36, 37, which is already late. But if you maintain your body healthy, you can. And the children should be brought in very soon after you get married, because the older the body goes, the more difficult it is to bear children, especially if there were no children in youth. So, but it depends what your priority is, you know, how much convinced you are with Krishna consciousness, and so on. So take shelter of the devotees and pray to Krishna for a devotee husband, which means association, favorable association, I would say, you know. But as I said, it's your personal life. You have to take decisions. There are also people who somehow function that minimum the husband should be favorable. It means he should not stop me from chanting, and he should not stop me maybe from going to the temple. He should not force me to eat meat. You know, these are like basic bottom line. But you must understand that, you know, usually grihastha means, it means a team, you know. The husband and wife have to be together. They have to work together for good, bad, whatever. Good and bad means happiness, distress, they are together. Now, if you understand Krishna consciousness to be the essence of life, and your husband is not a devotee, it means you will never share the essence of life with him. So it may be difficult, you know. On another hand, you may see that, oh, it's very favorable because it will really help you to become completely detached from this world, because first thing you won't be attached to is your husband, because somehow or other he's not a devotee or whatever. But it's a difficult arrangement. So you have to take advice from people around you. But I would say that patience is a key here. You can also check your astrological chart, because the parents or the whoever is around, they say, get married, get married, get married, get married. But then when you look at your astrological chart, sometimes you will see that what they call the yoga for getting married, it's not there. It's not there now. It will be there after 3 years or after 5 years or after. So you can't force nature. You can't force what is already, there's already an influence there. So I would say you check that, you see the astrology and what it says in your chart, that, is there a possibility of marriage now or not? If there's a possibility, then try to find devotee husband, put your name everywhere, contact people and pray, because, Krishna is our shelter, and he can, if you want sincerely to live a Krishna conscious Grihastha life, you want to be Krishna conscious, at the same time you understand that you need to be married, then you pray to Krishna so that he brings you somebody. And then if you see in your chart that the yoga for marriage is after 5 years, then that's it, then be happy, it's coming in 5 years. So in between, do something else than married life. Just get educated in Krishna consciousness, serve at the temple, or do whatever. Or if you want to have a job nowadays, everything goes. So whatever, but just know that after 5 years, when the period is favorable, you will get so many, proposals, and you will meet people, and somehow it's going to click. So be a little not impatient, I would say. Hare Krishna.
Wow,
This is
that
very...
was such a profound answer, Mataji. You covered it philosophically, scripturally, astrologically, and then the body wise. And then finally, you also said that it is a very, very personal choice. So considering all the factors, and it is like yatha ichhasi tat kuru. So you are giving an instruction, but then you are educating. So it's such a wonderful answer. And while you were answering, 2 devotees, Rasarani Radhika and Mahasundari Gaurangi, have messaged me on my personal window that they can help Yadurani with finding a match. So Yadurani, you can share your number, and probably these devotees would contact you and help you out. So you can just type in your number there. And I request Rasarani and Mahasundari to get in touch with Yadurani. And we thank Prasanta Mataji for coming and enlightening us. And it was so very, very wonderful, Mataji, to have you here. Almost 2 hours, and 2 hours of complete bliss, and 2 hours of always like constantly remembering Krishna. So thank you very, very much. And we would be delighted if anytime in future also you would come visit us and grace us on any topic of your choice. Everything is so sweet when it comes from you. So thank you for the wonderful class, Mataji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna to you and to everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a wonderful experience. Vaishnavi Sangha. Hare Krishna.
So thank you, everyone. And before we log out, there are a couple of announcements. Tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., we have organized a special Japa session where we'll be chanting 16 rounds. So the details would be posted in the IYS group. We have already posted the link for joining the IYS group. If you are not the part of our IYS WhatsApp group, kindly join that. And second announcement is that from 18th of June, we are launching our next batch of Gita Made Easy course. So again, the details we would be sharing at ISKCON Youth Services group. So please join the group and we'll continue with our association there. So thank you all very much. Taking leave from all of you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.